The rain had no mercy that evening, and neither did fate, because the moment Daniel Carter stepped off the bus with grocery bags cutting into his palms, he saw her kneeling on the cracked sidewalk, hair tangled, clothes soaked, hands shaking as she begged strangers who wouldn't even meet her eyes. And in that instant, the world he had buried years ago tore itself back open. If you believe in kindness, second chances, and the quiet power of compassion, please take a moment to like this video. Share it with someone who needs hope today, subscribe to the channel, and tell us in the comments where you're watching from, because stories like this travel farther when hearts carry them together. Daniel had not planned to walk down that street. He never did. Life as a single father had trained him to be precise, efficient, and careful, especially with time and emotions. Every step he took was for Lily, his 8-year-old daughter, whose small hand once fit perfectly in his, whose laughter had become the anchor that kept him upright after everything collapsed. He had learned to measure his days in school, lunches packed before dawn, overtime hours taken without complaint, and evenings spent pretending not to be tired so Lily could feel safe. The past was something he locked away, sealed behind responsibility and routine. But there she was, right in front of him, dismantling years of carefully built distance with one unbearable image. Her name was Emma Carter once. Now she looked like someone the world had chewed up and forgotten. The woman who had walked out of their small apartment 6 years earlier, chasing freedom and promises that never included diapers or midnight fevers, was unrecognizable. Her face was thinner, eyes hollowed by regret and exhaustion, and her hands trembled not just from the cold, but from the weight of everything she had lost. Daniel felt his chest tighten in a way he hadn't allowed himself to feel since the night she left, leaving behind a sleeping child and a note filled with apologies that never explained anything. People passed her without slowing. Some looked disgusted, others annoyed, most completely indifferent. Daniel stood frozen, rain soaking his jacket, grocery bags growing heavier as memories flooded him. He remembered Emma laughing in their kitchen when life was simple, remembered believing love alone could hold a family together. He remembered the night Lily cried herself to sleep asking why her mother didn't come home anymore. That memory still burned. It always would. Daniel wanted to walk away. He told himself he should. He reminded himself of the nights he worked double shifts because Emma vanished with the rent money, of the birthdays she missed, of the silence that followed her promises to call. He reminded himself that Lily had finally stopped asking about her mother last year, and that peace, fragile as it was, had cost him everything he had left. But as he looked at Emma shivering on the pavement, something deeper than anger stirred. It wasn't forgiveness. It wasn't weakness. It was the unbearable truth that once she had been family. Emma had not ended up on the street overnight. Her fall had been slow and merciless. After leaving, she chased dreams that crumbled quickly, relationships that promised escape but delivered abuse, jobs that disappeared the moment she trusted them. Pride kept her from going back. Shame kept her from reaching out. By the time she realized she had nowhere left to go, the world had already decided she was invisible. Each day became a test of survival, and each night was colder than the last. Begging was never something she imagined herself doing, but hunger and fear erase imagination fast. Daniel eventually moved. Not toward her, but past her, walking several steps before stopping again. His heart pounded. He imagined Lily's face, imagined explaining this moment to her someday, imagined the kind of man he wanted her to believe her father was. He turned back. He didn't speak. He didn't need to. He placed the grocery bags down, took off his jacket, and gently placed it over Emma's shoulders. She looked up, eyes widening with disbelief, then recognition, then something close to collapse. Daniel felt something break inside him then, not loudly, but like a quiet fracture that had been waiting years to happen. Helping Emma didn't erase the past. It didn't heal Daniel's scars. It complicated everything. He found her temporary shelter that night, returned home soaked and late, and sat awake long after Lily fell asleep, staring at the wall as guilt and doubt wrestled inside him. He didn't know what this meant. He only knew he couldn't pretend he hadn't seen her. Days turned into weeks. Daniel checked on Emma from a distance, helped her connect with local support services, paid for meals he could barely afford, and wrestled with the fear of letting chaos back into his carefully balanced life. Emma, humbled by rock bottom, worked harder than she ever had before. She accepted help without excuses, faced her addictions, and confronted the damage she had caused. Each step forward cost her pride, but she took it anyway. The hardest part was Lily. Daniel had not told her at first. He watched his daughter carefully, noticing how she smiled more easily now, how her drawings were brighter, how she slept without nightmares. He feared reopening wounds that had finally scarred over. But life doesn't wait for perfect timing. One evening, Lily saw Emma from across the street while walking home with Daniel. She stopped. Children sense truth even when adults try to hide it. What followed was not a sudden reunion or a dramatic embrace. It was confusion, hesitation, and long nights of questions Daniel answered carefully, honestly, and with more patience than he knew he possessed. Emma didn't rush. She didn't demand forgiveness or a place in Lily's life. She showed up quietly, consistently, proving with actions what words never could. She attended recovery meetings, found part-time work, and slowly rebuilt herself piece by piece. Daniel struggled the most with himself. Forgiveness felt like betrayal to his younger self who had suffered alone. Trust felt dangerous. Love felt irresponsible. But as months passed, he saw something change in Lily. Not confusion, but relief. Not pain, but healing. His daughter learned that people can fail and still try again, that mistakes don't always mean abandonment forever. And Daniel realized that shielding Lily from reality had never been the same as teaching her strength. The true breaking point came one winter night when Lily fell ill with a fever that spiked dangerously high. Daniel rushed her to the hospital, fear choking him as machines beeped and doctors moved quickly. Emma arrived later, breathless, eyes wide with terror, staying silent but present. She didn't interfere. She didn't demand anything. She simply stayed, offering quiet support, holding Lily's hand when Daniel needed a moment to breathe. Watching Emma care for their daughter without expectation finally cracked the wall Daniel had built around his heart. Lily recovered. Life stabilized again, but nothing was the same. Emma didn't move back in. That wasn't the point. Redemption doesn't always mean restoration. Sometimes it means coexistence, healing, and accountability. Daniel learned that kindness doesn't erase pain, but it can transform it. He learned that being strong didn't always mean being closed off. And Emma learned that love isn't something you run from when it becomes hard, it's something you fight for when it matters most. Years later, Daniel would pass that same street on rainy evenings, but it no longer haunted him. It reminded him of the night he chose compassion over bitterness, and how that choice reshaped not just Emma's life, but his own. Lily grew up knowing her father as a man who stood firm but never cruel, who taught her that people are more than their worst moments. That if this story touched your heart, please take a moment now to like the video, share it with someone who believes in redemption, and let your support help these stories reach others who need hope today. Before this story ends, we ask you to comment one word that represents what you felt while listening: hope, forgiveness, strength, or love, and let your voice be part of this shared moment. Daniel never forgot the image of Emma on that sidewalk, but he learned that broken beginnings don't have to define the ending, and sometimes the bravest thing a person can do is stop walking away.